Hey everyone. Please support what I do to help keep Greyhawk alive by subscribing to the channel. Also, please consider becoming a channel member to get early access to videos, exclusive live chats, quarterly adventure modules, and more. Thanks, and enjoy the show.
So the last couple of times we've been talking about the Lost Caverns of Tsojcanth, and we're going to keep going today on Greyhawk Rock. So we left off finishing up the lesser caverns. That's the top level of the dungeon, and now we're going to be moving on to the Greater Caverns. And let me just hold up the old map for you here. It's this center map here. You can see that the PCs start here. This is where the staircase from the upper level goes, and this is the obvious place that they're going to end up. Right? It's the circular thing with all with the 6 corridors leading to it. Just bear that in mind because that's going to be central to how this entire level functions, and just have that have that in the back of your mind that that's what's going on here. Um, Now, the first thing before we go is that in the pile of boulders that the PCs have to move to find that staircase, there is something called the Graven Glyphs, and it's basically clues for the PCs. And I wanted to read them. I didn't read them in the last one because they apply to this level. So I'm going to read it in its entirety for you. In the center lies the gate, but opening it is sure to vex. Many are the guards who wait as you go to the middle hex. Randomly sent to find a way back to a different iron door, a 7th time, and you may stay and seek the glowing prize no more. You have won old Igwil's prize, her hoarded cache of magic, and freed the one with yearning eyes, whose lot was hunger tragic. So there's a lot in there, and obviously the PCs aren't going to know what it's referring to right off the bat. But that first stanza, the center lies the gate, but opening it is sure to vex many other guards who wait as you go to the middle hex. The center lies the gate. This is the gate in the original tournament version of the module. If you recall from the first video in the series, this was like the planar nexus, and that was where the different versions of the PCs were kind of like knew about each other and so forth. The idea of that being a gate has endured in this poem, but in this version of the module, there's no real mention of it being any kind of gateway to other dimensions or worlds or whatever. So it's kind of an anachronism in there. And the last line, as you go to the middle hex. Now that's a really interesting one. Alan Grohe on his blog, which I've mentioned before in context of this because he's done a ton of research on this module. He theorizes that originally that center point was a hexagonal shape, and that's why it refers to the middle hex. But if you look at the map in the published version, it's a circle. It's a sphere, actually. And in the tournament module from WinterCon, it's also circular. There's no indication that that was ever actually a hex in the sense of a hexagon. You do have 6 doors, and there's 6 corridors leading to them, and there's 6 more doors leading to the corridors. But that doesn't make it a hexagon because it's still a circular area. And that leads me to believe that maybe in this context, it's not talking about hex in terms of hexagon, but hex as in a witch's spell. And that's really important because Igwilv, of course, is also known as the Witch Queen. So it would make sense that a big spell of hers would be referred to as a hex. And then the middle stanza, randomly sent to find a way to a different iron door, 7th time and you may stay, and seek the glowing prize no more. In order to get to that middle, and we'll talk about this in a little more detail, but in order to get to that middle section, you have to open all 6 doors, and then each time you open a door, you get teleported away, and you have to keep coming back and open different doors, and once they're all open, all 6, then you can go back a 7th time and get in. It's a really annoying thing, but it's very Gygaxian. And then the last stanza, you have won old Igwil's prize, her hoarded cache of magic, and freed the one with yearning eyes whose lot was hunger tragic. That's referring to Drelsna, who's Igwil's daughter, who is a vampire. The hunger tragic is vampirism. So so it's giving you a little preview if you know what it's talking about. And if we go then to the first thing. We start off with troglodytes, who wouldn't normally seem to be a particular threat here. So the troglodytes are allied with the Bodak, which is a demonic creature, is very powerful. So that kind of beefs them up in terms of their threat level. We have another cavern here with a Bahir in it, and this is another. This is an interesting feature of all of a lot of these. Is we're talking about this up here. This is a section where there it is. The room actually goes off the map. The map is not big enough to contain all of this dungeon. So there's throughout the text, there's these references to, oh, there's a long corridor here that does this and this and this, and it's not on the map. So there's a lot to this dungeon that isn't physically written out for the DM, and you can use that as an opportunity to expand the dungeon. But it's also really interesting that there's all these exits and entrances that, in theory, the PCs could use to get in and out directly to the lower caverns. Now, the temptation is to say that, as I mentioned in the last video, there's no real functionality to this dungeon in terms of it being the logistical hub of an empire. There's no palaces, there's no throne rooms, there's no conjuring rooms, there's no bedrooms, no barracks, none of that stuff. It's all just caves except for that central section. And the temptation is to say that, the administrative stuff is often one of these side caves. But for various reasons, that doesn't seem very satisfying, but we'll get there eventually. There's another room with an Umbra Hulk, and that's got another one of these hidden exits to the outside world. There's a there's a sinkhole that goes down to an underground river that's guarded by two gas spores. There's a whole bunch of stuff, and there's another place called the Glowing Grotto, and this actually teleports you to another dimension. And it's a random thing. There's three different ones. There's a labyrinth that's unlighted that has minotaurs in it. There's just some sort of there's the armored automatons, and this is an interesting one. The individuals teleported to this area will find themselves in a featureless room with no visible means of exit. And the way you have to get out is you kill the animated suits of armor, and you put on the helmets, and you get teleported back. But there's only three of them, so you can only do that in batches of three. And then as soon as three people teleport out, three more animated suits of armor appear and fight the PCs. So that could be as the text says, the consequences could be grim, as if the three people who go first are have all the hit points and the others are all wounded, they're going to be in trouble. There's a canyon of centaurs with another very difficult way to get back. That involves something, they're wearing magical horseshoes, and you untie them and you get bopped back. And then there's the Hall of Pentacles, and this one could be key. Basically, you're in the when you teleport in here, you get trapped in these pentacles on the floor. There's a way that you can make yourself levitate and get out that way. It's not easy to find. This is one of those instances where I believe that divination spells are included there for a reason, so you can kind of play 20 questions to figure out what the way to get out is. But this is also a very interesting one, the Hall of Pentacles. The only means of returning to the Lost Caverns of Tsojcanth is by using the pentacles as described above. If the party chooses to leave the hall, they will be stranded in the alternate dimension until they return to the hall. The DM must create a scenario if the party wishes to adventure in this dimension. This, I think, might be the clue to where all these other things that we expect to see are actually found. And this is one candidate, I should say. And the reason is you're basically in this big conjuring room, which is something that you would expect to see in Igwild's headquarters, because she's known for conjuring demons, and she brought in Grazd for a time and imprisoned him and so forth. So this would be in keeping, and we know that there's a whole complex around this Hall of Pentacles. So this could be at least the missing conjuring room that we don't see here. The place that Igwild used as her magical headquarters, where she would do her researches and so forth and so on. So I think that could be the key, that she would have some sort of means of controlling the teleport function. And when she wanted to go to her conjuring room, she would go into this into the cave, and then she would teleport over to the Hall of Tentacles. So I think that might be a key to where all this missing stuff, at least some of this missing stuff, is. Um, and then there's other things. There's trappers. There's various ropers and things that you would expect to find in a in a cavern complex. Um, there's another there's another way out that twists and turns through some other caves and so forth. So it's all very, very challenging, but it's also very the tournament aspects of this endure. You can tell that it was designed as a tournament dungeon in the same way that something like White Plume Mountain was. When there are very specific tactical challenges and puzzles that have to be solved, and that's very much of a feature of these kinds of modules. Um, Now, there's also some other clues that are supposed to be scattered around in the tunnels. Going south takes you southwest. Going north takes you southeast, and like that. And that refers back to that teleport effect. Remember, I said as you're trying to get to that center, as you open the inner doors, you get teleported away. This is telling you; those verses are telling you where that teleport effect is happening. So going south takes you southwest. So if you're going in the north thing, it'll take you to a southwest destination when it teleports you. Again, it's pretty obscure, but it is there, and you're supposed to find these little pieces of parchment scattered around the dungeon, and to give you clues about how that teleport effect works. Although it doesn't, it doesn't seem like it's going to be immediately useful. Once the PCs get a better idea of what the geography of the Greater Caverns is, then it becomes really useful. Um, that's and that takes us to that center area, and I'm going to hold off on doing that because that I think deserves a video unto itself. That great central region of the dungeon, which is basically where the big bad is, and that's where the big treasure cache is. So I'm going to, we'll pick that up in the next one. But you can see that this version of this level of the dungeon is becoming much more interesting in that we have many more magical effects. We have many more means of egress and entrance, and we have these teleports to different dimensions that might hold the clue to where all this stuff that we expect to see really is. And it wouldn't be it would be a really cool thing to try to stat all that out, and maybe I'll take a stab at that someday. Maybe I'll approach Alan and see if he wants to do it together. So anyway, hope you like this one. Let me know what you think of the comments. Let me know what you think of this series in general. I'm going to keep gnawing at this module like a dog on a bone until I can suss out all of its secrets. So I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and stay safe from Pinkertons.
Thanks for watching today's video. Please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Below you'll find links to my Patreon, which helps make these videos possible. You'll also find the web store where you can buy my books, and my blog where you'll find all sorts of free downloads and other articles. Thanks, and have a great day.